All righty. We're honored to have with us today Coach Marsha Sharp. Coach Sharp, thank you for being on today.
Good morning, y'all. How's everybody today?
We're good. It's a little warmer outside. I've been freezing to death. I don't know
Isn't
about
that
you.
Crazy?
Oh man,
it's not very many times in Lubbock when we're glad it's 32 or 34, right?
I know it. I'm like, boy, it's warm out here. It's really good. Thank you for taking time to do this. And
oh, sure, I'm honored to do it. Thank you for asking me.
Shoot, yeah.
Yeah,
we love having you on anytime you'll come on.
Oh, thank you, Gary. It's good to hear you guys today.
Hey, one thing I was going to ask you before we get into the Jeannine, McHaney, and everything else that's going on in the world is when Terry and I are out of town and we can't get anybody else to go over and feed the chickens, would you mind
walking across the street and going over
there and feeding the chickens?
You just tell me when. I'll just throw some stuff out there for them.
Yeah.
I think you'd fall in love with those chickens.
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate that.
24-year career for Coach Marsha Sharp. She's a legend here, and national championship in 1993 and 744 winning percentage. Coach, that's phenomenal. 258 and 89. That's I just got a conference play. That is amazing.
Well, thank you for that. I coach some great kids. If you're a coach, the only way you're going to be able to do really good things is if you have a lot of really great people around you. And I had a great staff. Our administration was strong, and our kids were really great. They were great athletes, and they were great people. And I was really honored and really blessed, David, to get to coach them for sure.
I wished I'd have thought of that.
Yeah, Gary, you should have told Gary about that.
You could have helped me if you just, hey, you need to get better people and athletes. And I said, no, that's a great idea.
So I walk in yesterday to Abilene Christian University to do the Monterey Lady Plainsman game. And I'm walking in, and some guy yells at me, it's Lyndon Weiss.
Oh,
he's got his Texas Tech shirt on, and he's just there for the game just to watch.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's part of that great crew you had.
Basketball.
Yeah. Well, I know that's not why you want to be on today. We of course we want to brag on you because what you've meant to Texas Tech, and we've had a couple of weeks ago. We got talking about people from Tulia, and your name came up.
Well, yeah, probably at the top of the list, I would think.
Top of the list from Tulia.
That'd be my guess.
But there's been a lot of great
place to be. Really, really, great spot to grow up, and there's nothing like small towns, right? In some ways, it's really a special privilege, I think, sometimes to be a part of that, and it was really great for me.
Hey, real quickly, you got any Paul Martin stories for us? Because I don't know if you heard that earlier in the show that we've got. He didn't give me. He loaned me. They're on loan. In fact, I may give them back to you to get to him because you'll see him before I do. Some programs from the 60s, 1962, 1963.
Norman Ruther, Dub Malace, all those guys.
He's got some treasures, I'll tell you that. And as you guys know, he's my brother-in-law, and this is a great opportunity. I'm glad you mentioned it because tonight I'm going to a big bash out in Slayton to celebrate his 70th birthday. And we're all so excited about, him entering this next decade. And maybe he won't give me quite so much hard time about being older, right?
Because we're already there, aren't we?
Yes, we're already there a little bit. But, yeah, it'll be a great time. And, yes, he's got some really special Tech memorabilia and also memories, from Texas Tech from years and years, because his folks and Paul himself and, of course, my sister, everybody have been big Tech fans. And I don't know if y'all know this or not, but I'm pretty fortunate. I've got 4 nephews, and 3 of them are married, and all of their wives and my sister and brother-in-law and all my nephews are Tech grads. So
isn't that awesome?
It's a family affair. My dad was a Tech grad, so yeah, really good stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Well, that's great.
That makes you proud. Well, if you can get those two, if you trust Marsha with those, she could take them tonight.
No, I absolutely trust Marsha. Well, I want to look at them. So.
They're so cool. And on the front of the program, it says, up in the corner, it says, new program every game. They print new ones every game.
How much did you have to pay for one, David? Does it say on there?
Yeah, I think it's
25 cents.
25 cents.
Yeah.
You know, Marsha, I remember the days when you first started at Tech, and we'd have those meetings, and you'd have us in the Coliseum, and we were giving tickets away to the Boys Club and the Girls Club and the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts, anything to get someone there. Aren't you proud?
Standing on the corner.
Yeah. Aren't you proud of what's happened? I mean, you got to have such pride about Texas Tech women's athletics.
Well, for sure. It was just really a great time to be a part of it, honestly, because Title IX had just passed, and so every day, David, you know this, you and Gary both, y'all were sitting there and watched it and were part of it, but every day it changed. There was something that came into play, like scholarships or more assistant coaches or facilities or all kinds of different things that just were so amazing to watch. And, really it's relatively a young sports for women, and the things that have been accomplished over those years have been really pretty remarkable.
They really have.
I'll tell you what, I had a question. Did Jeannine hire you?
She did.
Okay, I was thinking she probably did. And
she did. I was 29 years old, Gary, and it was really she took a real chance on me. I was a high school coach at Lockney for 6 years after I left Wayland, and of course my Wayland experience with Coach Weiss and Coach Redden really kind of set the tone for what I was ready to do, maybe, and the background that they'd given me and the fact that I had had an opportunity to be around a championship program over there. But I was an assistant coach 1 year at Tech, and then Jeannine hired me in the summer before I turned 30 to coach the Lady Raiders. And my gosh, I was just so grateful and thrilled. And as I've said many times, I've tried 24 years after she hired me not to mess things up, and she really was an amazing visionary for women's sports all across the board.
You probably have said this too. Coach Myers has also said it. The most influential figure in the development of the women's athletic program at Texas Tech. She was the one that made everything happen, Jeannine McHaney. There's
no question. I've had an opportunity to talk to, some groups of women's athletes at Tech over the years, and particularly recently. And the further you get away from those things, I think the more important it is that at least you bring to their attention why it happened. And there's absolutely no person who should ever not know what Jeannine McHaney did for Texas Tech women's athletics. Everybody that has ever worn that uniform or coached a team should be grateful for everything that she did, because it wasn't easy. You guys know that. There was a lot of opposition to women's sports when the Title IX first was passed. And, she had to fight a lot of battles that weren't easy, weren't pretty. She had to have a lot of courage. And, I do remember whenever we first sat down and talked about the women's basketball program, and she told me, she said, I tell you what, you fight the battles on the floor and I'll fight the battles off the floor, and let's see where we can go with it. And I will tell you, there's a lot of days she had the harder job for sure. It was really difficult, and I've always been grateful and have a lot of admiration for what she did. And you know what, y'all, that's not just for women's athletics at Tech. She was a big player nationally. There was all of those women who started all those programs really, sacrificed a lot and did a lot of really special things for women to have opportunities in athletics, for sure.
Well, here's another quote from the late Noel Johnson, who was a great player at Texas Tech for you. Any success in the past or future of women's athletics at Texas Tech is a result of Jeannine McHaney. Her courage and leadership will forever be embedded in Texas Tech athletics. That's a pretty nice quote.
Really amazing. And I have a picture of Noel. I think after we won a conference championship tournament game in Dallas, and Jeannine is standing there, and she had a hat on because she lost her hair because of the chemo and everything that she took for a couple of years, and Noel is standing in front of her, and Noel is saluting her. And I think that's the coolest picture, because they knew, those kids at that time knew how important she was to what we were doing. And it was really a special thing. I'll tell you, there's so many things about winning the national championship that, of course, you have a memory that might just appear every day, about some of those things, or somebody tells you something that brings up a memory. But one of the things I'm most grateful for, David, is the fact that she was still alive to watch it.
Yes.
That she was there in that fall, in that spring, and then she lived another 18 months, and we lost her. But boy, to be able to let her be a part of that and be a part of all those celebrations was really something that I was very grateful for.
That y'all had a good cry when y'all hugged them. And my picture of that is you sitting on the bench with Lyndon under one arm and Roger under the other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's an iconic picture.
It is. It's really, as you can imagine, unbelievable memories. And I just, there were so many components and so many people that were a part of that, and it was life-changing for so many people. And Jeannine was the one that got us all on the right road and helped us have funding to do special things as far as recruiting, taking recruiting trips, and trying to do a good job with visits when they came to campus, because that wasn't always easy in those days. There wasn't like thousands of dollars around that you could draw from. So she was right in the middle of all of that for us and provided a lot of support and thought outside the box so well to try to help us find things that would really make a difference.
I would think y'all's budget was a little better than ours, but our recruiting budget was $2,500.
It wasn't much, was it, Gary?
No, that's bringing people in and going to see people. That's $2,500.
Absolutely, yeah. We sometimes put a little of gas in our tanks just on our own dime, didn't we?
Yeah.
We had to do that every once in a while to get someplace. But yeah, I don't know, David. This. I think Gary's office was right across from our office, and there was like a 4-foot little hall between us.
You could just reach across.
Our offices were about 8 by 8, weren't they, or something like that?
Yeah.
They were small.
I've been up to y'all's offices when y'all were there on that south end, and Jess Stiles had an office like that, and
that's exactly right.
Y'all were just packed in there.
Well,
we were, and so when Gary was doing his recruiting spiel, we were probably doing the same thing on the other side of that hall, but we listened close because there were some things he said every once in a while. We need to tell kids that. That's a really good thing to say.
I think you're stretching it now.
Yeah, there's some things we don't need to say.
Can you believe he said that? Do you remember sewing up my pants one time?
I do. Yeah. I do remember that. Yeah,
that's right.
It was an emergency. You needed some help, didn't you?
That's exactly right. I didn't know which end of the needle to use.
Well, these are fun stories. Here's the thing, Coach Sharp, we can't let people forget Jeannine McHaney.
No question.
And this Memorial Classic, I'm so glad they named this softball tournament. Texas Tech softball is a big deal, and I hope we just we get bigger and bigger in Jeannine McHaney's name. We can't let it go by the way. Someday we won't be here anymore. We got to spread the word so they carry it forward.
Hey, you folks on
next
TV.
Generations have to know, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
I'm fixing to show the people on TV a picture of Jeannine. So those of you on TV, get over there, and I'm going to show you a picture of Jeannine. This looks like it would have been around 1990-ish, something like that.
Yeah. I'm so glad that I didn't know the timing when she passed away, but I'm so glad that you said she got to be a part of that 93 national championship.
October of 94 is when we lost her. Yeah.
Well, we were down in Abilene because Monterey Lady Plainsmen were playing, and I don't know whether you've seen Aaliyah Chavez play or not.
I have.
But you'd be recruiting her hard, just like Krista is.
I would be, but yes.
The head coach from Texas, I see him all the time. He was there in Abilene yesterday.
Yeah.
And what's his last name?
Shaver.
Yeah, Shaver.
Shaver.
Yeah, he's a good. I like him. But here's another story I wanted to tell you. We put Chris Etheridge in the Lubbock ISD Athletic Hall of Honor for what she did. Well, Jody Conrad came, and we'd always just hated Jody. I mean, with a passion, we hated her when she was at Texas. She was she was wonderful.
Was she worth hating, or should we have liked her?
Well, the rivalry was such an important part of women's basketball during that time. I think, when it was going on, maybe our rivalry with them because a lot of times we were all in the top 10, and UConn's rivalry with Tennessee were probably the top 2, in the country.
I agree.
And so it was okay for that to go on because they didn't like me very much in Austin either. It was a mutual thing, and we knew that. But I think when it was all said and done, and after we both finished coaching, we've really shared some good moments and some laughs and memories about things that went on. And she is a really great person, and she did a lot for this game.
You remember we'd start the bus. Oh,
I know.
Throw the keys over there.
Bags over your head, stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, after we met her at that deal, we had her on the show. I think the next week to talk about it.
Great,
and she was very gracious and very very.
I'm so glad I got to meet her because you don't need to be hating on people.
No, she's a really good person.
Well, you tell her if you talk to her that we had a good word about her.
I will.
But I'll not near as good as we think about you. She ain't in your league. You tell her that too. Marsha, we thank you for doing this so much.
Absolutely. I'm really honored to get to talk about Jeannine. Thank you for letting people know a little bit more about her today. That's a really important thing for me and for everybody that's ever been around it. So I really appreciate you guys a lot.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you, Coach Sharp. We'll talk to you later.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.